Everyone, today we'll cover our next topic, that is categories of user defined functions. To start with, we take a help of two words, with and without, and we apply these two words for parameters, or we can say an arguments, and return data type. Return data type may be a void, integer, float, character. Okay. Now, for finding out the categories of user defined function, we'll make two columns, one for arguments and second is for return data type. And I'll make combination of with and without for argument as well as for return data type. After that, here we find total 4 categories, that is without argument, without return. That would be our first category. Second category, with argument, without return. Third category, without argument, with return. And last more, with argument, with return. So whenever we think about the categories of user defined function, we'll get total 4 categories: without argument, without return, with argument, without return, without argument, with return, with argument, with return. So before moving further, for detailed explanation of this categories, first we'll see the simple C program structure, in which everyone knows that two blocks are very important. First one is a hash include stdio.h, which is nothing but header file or preprocessor directory, and next would be your driver function, that is nothing but a main function. So this is a simple C structure block, and now using these two blocks we'll see the next part which is required for writing user defined function. So the next point is style of including or writing user defined function. So here it includes total 2 types or style. That is, if I want to write user defined function before main function, and second type, if I want to write user defined function after main function. Then simple block diagram or structure, as you observe here, first your header file, next would be your user defined function block, and third would be your main function. That means this style, in between your header file and main function, we include our user defined function block. In this second style of writing, this is your header file, this is your main function block, and after this we include user defined function block. Okay, so these are two styles of including user defined function block. Okay, now the next part is if I want to include my user defined function, then 3 types or 3 important parts we have to consider, that are function prototype declaration, function calling, and function definition. Here we'll write the syntax for prototype declaration, which includes first you have to write the return data type, then user defined function name, and in round bracket ends with a semicolon, list of arguments. In function calling, you have to write your user defined function name, in round bracket argument name ends with the semicolon. In function definition, return data type, then user defined function name, into bracket list of arguments, and in this curly braces you have to write a block of statements which is nothing but the operation which we want to perform. Okay, so again we go back for the style of writing. So if I include my user defined function block in between your header file and main function, we require function calling and function definition. If I include a user defined function block after main function, then here I require prototype declaration, function calling as well as function definition. So if I compare both styles, prototype declaration is not mandatory when we include function user defined function before main function. Now to see the all categories for user defined function, let us start from beginning. That is, I'll simply take one example, write a C program to perform addition of two variables. For this, we'll write steps to follow, or we can say in short, it's algorithm. That is, if I want to perform addition of two variables, my first step would be I declare three variables. Then I initialize that two variables with any value. Then I perform the addition operation, and after performing this operation I display the result. Now for this we'll write simple C code which includes your header file, that is your first block, and we include here only main function, in which first we declare three variables of integer data type. After that, I accept the values for A and B from user using scanf function. So suppose here I accept a value for A is 1 and for B 2. After that, I'll just perform the addition of 1 and 2. Result 3 would be saved in C, and using this printf function we display the result C. So this is the first way of writing using only main function to perform addition of two variables. Now the same program will write using our first category, that is without argument, without return. So here if you observe, this is my first header file block. After that, in a main function, I just call a function that is add, that is without passing any argument in this parenthesis. So this is what your function calling. So always remember, whenever we start a programming, your execution always starts from a main function. So this would be your starting point of execution. After that, the first statement here is we call a add function. So whenever these statements detect, the compiler hand over control to that particular function. Okay, and now here we declare three variables. We accept the two values from user. Again, I'll take same value. A is 1, B is 2. I perform addition, then result 3, and here using this printf we display the result of C is equal to 3. Okay, so after this is the end of your user defined function, and after this control handover back to your calling function's next line. So there would be no next line. Next line is what? It's the end of your parenthesis. So always your program starts with a main function and ends, or we can say stop with this parenthesis. So if you observe the flow, execution starts from your main function. The first statement will identify that is add function, that is user defined function. Control handover to that function. We perform that particular task of addition. After performing this task, control handover back to your calling function's next line, and next line would be your stop. Okay, next style the same. Here execution starts from your main, so this is your start. After this we detect that is a function call. So whenever we detect a function call, control handovers to that particular function. We perform that particular task. The same task we perform here. After the end of this, control handover back to your calling function's next line. Okay, and next line would be your stop. Okay, so if you observe here, the same task will perform using two styles. First, if I add this user defined function before main, then here we do not include the prototype declaration, we directly write the definition. So here we required only function calling and function definition. Whereas in the second style, we required a prototype declaration, then function calling, and then function definition. So in this style, we'll say this first category without argument, without return. Why? Because if you observe here, in this add function, we are not passing anything. We are not passing any parameter with any argument. So we'll say it's without argument. So whenever we go ahead, after completing this task, we are not returning back any value back to your calling function. So if we are not returning anything back to my calling function, here I include return data type as a void, means this function is not returning anything back to my calling function. So that's why This is without argument and without return. For this, we just add a return data type as a void. And that's why this category is called as without argument, without return.